Hey, everybody. Welcome to Cincinnati Real Producers Podcast, powered by Nextdoor Photos. I'm Patrick Braddock, owner and publisher of Cincinnati Real Producers.
And I'm Daniel Ziegler, owner of Nextdoor Photos. Every week, we're getting to know Cincinnati's top realtors.
Our goal is to elevate and inspire the real estate community throughout greater Cincinnati.
Today we have Megan Stacey, team lead for the Megan Stacey Group, brokered by Coldwell Banker Realty. Megan has been selling real estate since 2015, and her career sales volume is over $337 million. In 2023 alone, her team's volume was over $75 million. Megan and her team were honored as the number 2 team at Coldwell Banker, also earning International President's Premier status, putting her in the top 2% internationally with Coldwell Banker. Additionally, Megan has been recognized in the Ohio Realtors President's Sales Club and Circle of Excellence. Welcome to the show, Megan Stacey.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. Thanks for coming on.
Powerhouse.
Most days.
It's first thing I think of. Yeah. So Megan, I've known you for a long time. And your story has just been really, really motivating, I think, and empowering, not just because of what you've built, but how you've built it, and how, you answer the phone as you're giving birth, like all the, like everything, like you're just so dedicated, and you come from, a very, giving background as well, as far as through the education industry and everything like that, and teaching. So, if you want to dive into, what you kind of did before you got into real estate, we'd love to learn a little bit more about you.
Thanks, Patrick.
Absolutely.
Powerhouse in pink.
Powerhouse in pink. I love that. Pink. Yeah.
Today, just beautiful. A little bit of pink. But
that's awesome.
So my background is in public education. So I went to Miami of Ohio for undergrad, Xavier for my master's degree and principal license. I taught 3rd grade. Then I was an assistant principal in an elementary building, and then I was the curriculum coordinator. So for approximately 10 years, I built my career, climbed the ladder in education.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I loved every minute of it. And I had our first child, my daughter Emery, when I was still working for the Forest Hills School District. And I really felt like it was time to make a career change. Just have my first baby and change careers. Why not?
Do it all at once.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's make it easy, right?
Yeah, exactly. I love making it easy.
Yeah. So from that, I mean, how do you feel like your how did you land on real estate, and how did you feel the transition from education impacted that?
Yes. So I didn't land on real estate the first move.
Okay.
I knew it was time to leave that career. And everyone, including the superintendent, because I used to speak at the school board meetings and in front of the teachers and parents, all the stakeholders, everyone was like, you'd be great at sales, So because I was always trying to find the positive way to work through a problem,
Sure.
essentially. And a lot of it in education was being done unto us, and we had to navigate through very complex problems and situations. So I first actually got in, I just knew in order to leave that career, I had to know where I was going. And I really wanted to start my own business. I just wasn't quite ready for real estate.
Sure.
So I got into marketing sales for a year. I did a year stint cold calling in a closet.
Oh my gosh.
And it was a great learning opportunity. And I had gone from essentially one step. I was finishing my superintendent license when I left. So I had gone from pretty much the top of my previous field to like the absolute bottom. And that was a awesome, humbling experience. Mm-hmm. I actually won an award that year for like rookie sales. And it was radio and media sales. Nice. And they loved my voice for the commercial clips. They thought it was a really fun experience. It just didn't have the growth opportunity. I was looking for something real estate, as we've talked about, when you're building your real estate career, the sky is the limit.
Yeah.
And if I was going to get up every day and leave at the time my daughter, then I had to have a sky is the limit kind of opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when
awesome.
that started.
That is awesome.
That's really interesting. So the cold calling, I bet that was that kind of probably got you started in real estate pretty strong.
Complete opposite, actually.
Really?
So the first brokerage, I adore my first brokerage where I started my career. A lot of their strategy was cold calling. And I was like,
You're like,
like,
nope, I'm done with
sorry.
that.
no. So I was like, I am not calling expireds. I am not calling FSBOs. I am not doing it this way. So I respect the world out of so many of my colleagues are so successful in building their businesses by cold calling, using online lead generation. I don't do any of that. My team does not do any of that. So we have built a complete grassroots, organic, relationship-based business. And I found a way to essentially help the other women on my team. Men can apply. You have to be the right fit for the team. So essentially help them build the same microcosm of a business under our umbrella, if that makes sense. So
Sure.
I would rather shut down my real estate business than cold call.
Wow.
I hated it.
Yeah.
So no, I would rather close shop. And I'll get into my why in a little bit, but no way, cold calling is not for me.
That's so
and
interesting.
kudos to my colleagues who have built their businesses that way,
Sure.
truly.
Yeah.
And kudos to the people who have figured out ways to do it without having to cold call. I think that's
So my brokerage training was like, it was a cool training. It was a good growth experience. And it was like cold calling and scripts, etc. And I did it. And I was like, I literally hate this. And I didn't
Sure.
change careers to hate this, you know?
Right.
So I told him, I was like, I'm going to do it my way, you know? And if it doesn't work, we'll do it your way, you know?
Yeah.
And I think I won like Rookie of the Year that year.
That's
so,
awesome.
you know, I had a really good first year in real estate. So I was like, my way is working for me. It might not work for everybody,
Sure.
but it worked for me. So
That's great.
That's great. Yeah. I mean, I think you got to figure out what works for you because personality differences and differences in your sphere and your past I mean, all kinds of things play into it.
absolutely.
And so you got to figure out what works for you.
Agree.
Well, that's cool. So you mentioned your daughter. Let's learn a little bit more about your family. Do you have other kids as well?
Oh yeah. So the other children were born while building this career. So I always say it's very difficult, and there's very few examples, unfortunately, of women in our industry who built their business and their families simultaneously. So you all might have met some during this podcast, and I am seeking those people because typically it's women who either like have school age or high school kiddos, and then they really hit the gas on their business,
Right.
or they don't have kids yet and they build their business. And so anyway, so it's been fun to try to do both at once.
Sure.
And, the whole glass balls and rubber balls, like when you're juggling, there's some balls that are glass that you can't drop, and the kids and the career are two of those, and the rubber balls, they can drop and bounce back. So we have Emery, who is 10. And she doesn't know it yet, but I'm taking her on a surprise trip to London to see Taylor Swift this summer. So that's Emery's big thing going on in her
That's
life.
awesome.
And she's a great kiddo. She's really into volleyball and swimming. We have our middle son, Ford. So he was born exactly a year into my start of my real estate career.
Okay.
So that kiddo, I delivered and was depositing earnest money, like sending an email from the hospital bed. And Jack Mark, one of my colleagues, didn't know me at the time. We weren't at the same brokerage. And he's like, oh, great. This lady's never going to get me the earnest money. She just said she's having a baby. And sure enough, earnest money. There it is, Jack.
That's
So
awesome.
Ford
Wow.
is almost turning 8. He's super into karate. I don't know that I will be in real estate long enough for any of my children to become part of my team. But if I have to choose a candidate, Ford is the one who's going to hop into real estate. We have very similar. He's my kid. We have very similar personality types. And then God had a plan that we did not know about, and his name is Gunner. And so Gunner is 2. Gunner was a misdiagnosis. I did not know I was pregnant until into my second trimester.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
I
my
delivered
goodness.
Gunner when I had liver failure.
Oh, my gosh.
So I only knew I was pregnant with Gunner for 22 weeks. And I can't believe it, but he's going to be 3 soon. And, I'm approaching 42 years old, and so still changing diapers, and he needs to be potty trained. That's like Gunner's biggest thing in his life is he needs to be potty trained. But just can't say enough wonderful things about my kids and what it takes to really balance. Even though I have a great team, the perception is you have your team, so therefore you're not working on nights and weekends, and that is a myth.
Right.
I cannot tell you the amount of times that I have been literally barricaded, close the bedroom door, then close the closet door, like double lock the doors to make client calls, nights and weekends. And I really think to do that has made my kids more independent, more self-sufficient. We're really a team from a family standpoint because my spouse also has a job that he has to work random hours too. So it's chaos, but it's all in it together. Roll up our sleeves together. So.
Yeah, that's cool. I think, so I also have a 3-year-old who needs to be potty trained. It's been a 1-year challenge so far. So I'm with you there.
It's rough. Emery took over a year. Ford, because he's my easiest child, just potty trained himself. And then Gunner still identifies as baby. If you ask him what his name is, he says baby.
Oh, that's funny.
And you're like, no, what's your name? My baby. Like he literally will not go by his name because he was like the big blessing bonus baby.
Right.
So he has to hold strong.
He's living it up.
And medically, he holds that spot forever. So I don't think he needs to worry about it, but he doesn't understand that. So.
Yeah, that's funny. Oh my goodness.
That's great.
Well, cool. So let's talk a little bit about, so you got into real estate and you're growing your family. And as Patrick said at the beginning, you're a powerhouse. Like, how did that happen? Like, walk us through kind of like your journey from getting started to where you are now. What does that look like for you?
So they always say live a life of design, not by default, but by design. It happened by complete default. There was so I named myself.
Breaking all the rules.
I named myself the Megan Stacey Group because I was like, well, I work with a photographer and a title company and whatever. And people, when you're new in the business, are always trying to recruit you for their teams. And I was like, no, thank you. Because I didn't know that I wanted a team, frankly, because my job description has massively changed in what am I in? 9 years almost. Gosh.
It's been that long.
Anyway, so, my job description has massively changed, but I never set out to build what I've built. Some days I wake up and I'm like, whoa, what happened?
Sure.
Or people will say, and I don't even, they're like, you're Megan Stacey. And I'm like, and hi, because this is not what I when I changed careers, set out to do. And it was truly, and with all the gratitude in my heart, a function of the amount of family, friends, and clients who believed in me and what I was doing to help them and their families. And it just, I woke up one day and it was, every year in the beginning, not now, in the beginning of my career, every year, my production doubled.
Wow.
And it was awesome and some of the darkest, hardest times in my life.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great thing. It was also overwhelming, drinking from a fire hose.
Oh, yeah.
So that's when, I actually changed brokerages because I knew that I just needed to partner with a brokerage that had the top teams in town. And that was such a great decision for my business. And I always say, I needed more eyes, ears, minds, and hearts to serve our clients because there's only, and on our team, there's a cap of how many clients you can serve well at one time. And I am really passionate about that. So I will refer out, if the phone rings and it's not something we can take on, I stay in my lane. I don't play a lender. I don't play a title rep. I don't play a lawyer on TV. I'm a realtor. At this point, I'm the team lead and a listing agent. If someone wants to buy, even if it's my mom or sister, they're going to work with me and a dedicated buyer specialist because I'll be doing them a disservice if I take them on myself.
Right.
So, it's been quite a journey.
That's amazing.
Unintentionally.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that journey from when I first met you is just quadrupled, so that aspect of not knowing if you wanted to grow a team and then deciding to push forward with a new brokerage and do that, what was your vision, and have you completed that? I know you said you're still looking for strong employable people to be able to continue to grow, but are you getting close to where you feel comfortable? Are you still trying to sky the limit type of mentality, or what are you thinking?
So I feel like comfortable is always a dangerous place to be,
sure.
Right? And I'm a person that's not afraid of change, to lean into change. I want to be a change agent. That was a lot in my old career, what I was passionate about from a leadership standpoint. However, it is critical in this building of the team to grow gracefully.
Right.
And so I've made some missteps that have been incredible learning opportunities, grown too fast, not grown fast enough with hiring. So I don't know what the next chapter is. Right now, we need another buyer's agent really bad. So if anyone's listening, like,
Hello.
apply. Yeah. So we need a buyer's agent. We have, I made a lot of changes in my business structure to put very strategic business goals in place. And one of those is to sit at the table, because I am proud of what we built. And I try, and mostly I'm pretty humble and like in awe of what we have right now. And it was not me, even though my name is on the door, it was our team.
Yeah.
And so I try to be very strategic in who we bring on. And we also put production expectations in place. So to sit at the table, now their first year is different. Sit at the table and put your name with our name. These are the things, not only qualities and values that you have to have, but also you have to walk the walk and talk the talk. You cannot be, I love all my stay-at-home mom friends. This is not about, but you cannot be the stay-at-home mom who wants to sell 3 houses because you have like a good book of business or contacts. Respectfully, I don't care.
Yeah.
If you are not day in and day out, because the market moves so quickly. And it was probably about 3 years ago when I really started doing high levels of business that on the weekends, I would like leave like Sunday night or Monday morning. I would say, gosh, like this is what the market did. Like I felt the market.
Yeah.
Like I was going to trainings and office meetings to hear what's the market doing, you know? And now I'm like, this is what the market's doing because this is what I experience or we experience as a team. Wow, multiple offers are back, you know, or whatever is going on. I feel the market, and I would never want to put our clients in the hands of someone who does not have that expertise.
Right.
Because that's not how you build a relationship-based business of trust. So
I find that amazing. And like relationships are so key in real estate. You've been able to do this over 9 years and build the second biggest team in the area. I feel like you are just such an empowering person just for every real estate agent who would be potentially listening to this. So maybe I should segue out of real estate for a second and just kind of talk about you. What do you guys like to do outside of real estate? I mean, I know that we're big on the team, we're big on everything, but like people also want to know about Megan, you know, and then maybe we'll have some more questions about the team. I don't know.
Sure.
But
well, I don't have a lot of free time at the moment.
Yeah.
And we talked about that. So, you know, we have young kiddos. So a lot of it is coordinating the chaos of their activities. Our daughter is now old enough that she can she doesn't have a phone, but she's a watch and an iPad. So she's texting her friends like, I have a slumber party. You know, it's like all of a sudden she's driving her own social schedule. I'm like, whoa, hang on a second. I have plans, you know. I am very passionate about being involved in the community. So I've been involved in the Junior League of Cincinnati going on almost 16 years now. Wow. I just went sustainer, which is basically means I've retired. You're a lifelong member though. So now I get to do all the garden club and the book club and the more social aspect and the community service. Of course, you're still tying into the community service work.
Sure.
And I served on the board of the Junior League of Cincinnati. I also served as the vice president of membership for the Junior League of Cincinnati. Ever since they've had the tour of kitchens, I have always been a leading sponsor for their tour of kitchens. So most of my team, my core team, Tracy and Liz, how I met them was through the Junior League of Cincinnati.
Interesting. So
I'm very passionate about giving back to the community. You know, I'm a teacher at heart. I'm not a salesperson, and that's why I hated the cold calling in the closet. I am the world's worst salesperson. Okay, I am, because I believe it is my responsibility and our responsibility to educate people about the process and their options. And if I never sell their house or we never sell them a new home, but we helped them understand their options, we did our job.
Right.
And those folks become, in most cases, our biggest source of referrals, because anyone could say, and we have a solid, for our market, obviously, when I meet agents and top teams for other markets and you're like saying your average, like they ask, like you don't like, hi, my name is and my sale prices, you know.
Sure.
But they ask, and other markets obviously have much higher price points. But for us, within our brokerage and our market, we have a relatively high average sale price. So I'll use this example of a $900,000 house. You know, if I think the house should be priced at $899,000, $900,000, cute little strategy, right under that $900,000, and they think it's worth $1.2 million. Okay, to me, that's not within the price band of reasonable. You know, obviously up. You know, you want $925,000 and we want $899,000. All right, let's talk.
Yeah.
And that's where I'll tell people, like, you know, Patrick, Danielle, we part as friends. Like, I can't help you.
Sure.
All of the comps, and I run vary because I'm a teacher, I'm a learner. Like, I see what other people do as far as comps. We like really dig in to the pricing of houses, and not saying they don't, but like I'm very methodical about it.
Yeah.
And so if it's not within that range, I always say we part as friends. I can't help you. Those people, sometimes they get in a contract with another agent. Again, not knocking other agents. That was not the right pricing strategy though. And then they chase their tail. They adjust their price a billion times. They call me and they say my brother or sister or whoever needs to move. They need to hire you, you know, because they're like, you walked away from an opportunity because you told me the truth.
Yeah.
And ultimately, when I changed careers, because education is so political, unfortunately, even though I love it. And those teachers, like, thank your teacher, buy them a Starbucks.
Absolutely.
Because that is a hard and thankless job. But what I was doing in administration was so political that I thought I could make a difference the higher I got. And my hands were tied hard.
Yeah.
And now I go to bed really well every night because I told our clients the truth. They might not like what I have to say, but I did it with a smile and honesty and integrity. And usually it sinks in. They're like, you know what? And I rarely, this sounds terrible. I never cold call, but I almost never interview for listings. So rarely, this is crazy at our level of business, but rarely does someone say, I saw your sign, could you come interview for my listing?
Right.
It still is all referral past clients.
That's awesome.
So like usually I go on a listing appointment and they're not interviewing 3 other agents, they're hiring us.
Right.
So you asked about my free time and I got back into work.
Yeah,
so
no,
running
but I
the
love
kids,
that. I mean,
giving back to the community. What else do I do?
That dives into another question that I might have though, because I love your business centric mentality, and I love the fact that you guys are doing so well, but it's not because of being comfortable. Like I love how you mentioned how you like to keep moving forward. So like all your strategies on social media and through your relationships that you've grown, talk to that a little bit, because like you guys I feel like you're always on the forefront of like Facebook and everything like that. You're always out there. So there's a lot of seeing the Megan Stacey group. And you guys have done a really good job on your social media, but like from a business standpoint, I can see that being very tiresome, but you're at the front. And I don't know, of all the real estate agents that I know throughout the city, like I always end up seeing the Megan Stacey group. So
thank you.
You guys are doing really, really well.
That's
and I think
great.
you're innovating and I don't know, just the way you're going about it is very, very, is really great business practice, I think.
Thank you. Well, you're never going to believe what I have to tell you. But I just shared for the first time ever 6 months ago our Instagram login with someone else.
Really?
So for the last however many years, the only person responding, logging in, and being Home Sweet Cincinnati is our Instagram. And then Tracy runs our Kentucky business, so she's Home Sweet NKY. The only, like, people would be like, could you tell Megan, on DMs? I'm like, so old. What is it called, a DM?
Yeah.
Slide into your DM, like whatever. Anyway, so I'm like, I don't know. Anyway, they're like, will you tell Megan? I'm like, it is Megan. Like what? Why are you? Because that was the one thing I wasn't going to let go of. And it's been very painful this year because my business coach really pushed me, which is the part about being uncomfortable, that I could still hold on to it.
Sure.
And I had to leverage more resources to keep it what it's been. So we really like to focus on, first, we like to shine the spotlight. Most importantly, we shine the spotlight on the clients.
Right.
The clients are the number one because they're what got us here, and we want more people in our community, know. Then we like to shine the spotlight on local businesses. We're very passionate about supporting nonprofits, which I already talked about in the community.
Sure.
Tracy just won the American Heart Association Women of Impact Award yesterday. So
Cool.
Check out our post from that.
Congratulations.
She raised over $70,000. Her daughter Mila was born with a heart defect, and that's her why. That's actually, well, I already knew Tracy before then, but that's what brought Tracy back to Cincinnati.
Wow.
And so anyway, very passionate about the community, the local businesses. So a lot of local business owners will call us up because we feature their businesses on our Instagram, and they're like, hey, like, I want you to sell my house,
Yeah.
And we don't do it for that reason. It's good content. The Home Sweet Cincinnati concept was born because, yes, we're the Megan Stacey group. Yes, we sell real estate. We try to talk about local and lifestyle, some luxury. I'm really into fashion. There's a lot of other agents in other markets like New York and Naples that really like lean into that. Like I used to have a fashion blog that I have no time for when you talk about hobbies. Like I don't have time to take a picture of my outfit today. I really don't. But I don't lean into that too much because even though I enjoy it and most of my team is very fashionable, I feel like you only have one opportunity to make a first impression.
Sure.
And I don't want to be out on Instagram, like, look at my outfit. Like, that's not Cincinnati.
Right.
It's just not. It's not a showy town. And like, I don't want luxury cars rolling in our listing videos. And, you know, I don't want to post a designer purse. That's just not who we are. And Home Sweet Cincinnati was really born out of wanting people to follow us, whether they were planning on buying or selling real estate in greater Cincinnati,
Sure.
Or not. And so it was the businesses and the nonprofits and the city happenings as well.
That's awesome.
So I like it. It's been hard to have someone else support that because I'm a recovering control freak. And at the end of the day, you like don't think of yourself as a brand. And then when people start saying like, you're a brand, like, of course, that's what purse you're carrying or outfit you're wearing because you're a brand. I'm like, I'm a person. Nice to meet you, you know, but controlling the brand, like darling woman who's helping us with social media, but the purse thing, like she wanted to do, it's trending on Instagram. Like what's in your purse? Because that's trending on Instagram right now. And we like shot it and I like laughed and I was like, no, if it's not to educate, because education is my first hat. Right. If it's not to educate, add value, shine the spotlight on our clients or on local businesses or the community, like I'm out.
Right.
Because it's not how we got to where we are. And success will not change that. Because we want you to call us if you need to sell your $60,000 lot or your $6 million house.
Right.
And we don't want to ever forget that. So
good for you.
Well, I think one of the things I love that the idea that that's not Cincinnati. I heard you say that several times about different things. And I love that. Like, I think it can be very easy to fall into the sort of trends, like you were mentioning with the purse thing, that you see other people doing in other markets. And it looks flashy, it looks cool. And you think it probably makes them look good or would make you look good. But you're like, no, I'm going to stick to that's not Cincinnati. That's not what we're about. That's not what we want to shine the spotlight on. So I really like that.
Thanks. Cincinnati girl, born and raised. And just think that, again, what works in other markets is not the best strategy in our hometown.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it's just not true to who Cincinnati is. If Cincinnati is a person, it's a personality. It does have a vibe. And I think it's really cool that you want to stay true to that.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, I'm curious, Megan, going back to your previous career and then all of this crazy success in real estate, I think one of the questions that we like to ask is what continues to get you out of bed in the morning? What is your why these days?
Great question. My why has evolved over time. My answer has not changed over time. And the answer is people. Surprisingly, a lot of people get into real estate because they like HGTV or they have an architectural background or a design background. I don't care about houses, which is like, I used to keep that secret and now I kind of think it's funny. Like I could care less about houses, like at all. Because houses are the product that we sell. But each house is different and I don't care about the house. I care about the people. I want to understand, why are they selling? Why do they want to buy a new home? What life event in most cases, right? My career started with they were getting a new job and so they wanted to buy their first home. They were getting engaged or married or a puppy or they got a promotion and they wanted to buy the next home, or they were outgrowing that home. They needed to sell. Your career evolves. Their families grow. They want to buy their forever homes. Right. Sometimes they're selling because there was a death in the family. There's a divorce. The more into my career I get, I've discovered that not all moving is a happy circumstance. I was like very bright-eyed and bushy-tailed in the beginning because it was mostly like, yay, you're having a baby. Yay, you're getting married. And so the house, while significant, obviously, and someone's largest financial asset in most cases. So I tell my team, they're going to be mad at me saying this, but like, you got to show up like you're selling their largest financial asset or selling them. So like, I appreciate business casual. I appreciate blue jeans and sneakers, but like, do not show up at someone's house in any of those things because your lawyer or your financial advisor is not showing up that way. So, and whether it's $60,000 or $4 million, it's their largest financial asset.
Right.
So the house part, I obviously make sure the house is positioned properly, all those things. But it's about the people and what their goal is and how we can or can't help them achieve that goal of moving. So why I get out of bed now is different. So it's always helping people. Now it is my team. It's still the clients, of course, that hasn't changed. But to see the opportunity that making this career change and having these ladies along for the journey, who knows where it was going, and the opportunity it has created in their families and in their lives is just unbelievable to me. And so now on the days that, I mean, I have to get out of bed because we talked about toddlers, like I don't have a choice. Someday maybe I can sleep in, but you know, I'm up at 5 a.m. But I get out of bed to make sure my team feels as supported as they possibly can serving our clients.
That is awesome. Well, speaking of your team and other agents and this market, we want to ask you for some advice on those things. But before we do, we would just like to give a shout out to Back to Back Ministries, whose studio we're in. Back to Back Ministries is a global nonprofit orphan care organization with their sights set on providing care for today and hope for every tomorrow. From Cincinnati, Ohio to Hyderabad, India, staff teams around the world are stepping into hard stories and choosing to stay. To learn more about the work Back to Back does, how you can get involved, and why a global team won't stop until every child is known and loved, visit backtoback.org today.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
it's a great organization, and we appreciate them letting us use their space.
For sure. But with that said, what kind of advice would you like to offer? We can start with buyers and sellers if you like.
Oh, we're starting buyers and sellers.
Whatever you want.
Hire a knowledgeable agent who is educating you on your options. This is not a sales pitch. If it's not us, that's fine. Hire someone who knows the market and who will be honest with you and who cares more about you than the sale. And that is like the number one thing that I try to teach our team. And that is the number one way I try to treat our buyers and sellers. Like I will pay my mortgage and feed my family whether I sell their house or not. So I try to treat them with honesty and care. And they need to hire a knowledgeable agent who understands the market conditions. So we're seeing with the ebbs and flows of rates in the market and the NAR settlement potential changes as the market may move a little bit, everything's gonna be fine. People sort of panic. COVID was a time where people panicked. And the agents who are not doing high levels of business with all due respect or educating themselves on the market, because you can do lower levels of business, but really dig in on the stats and the data. But they're leaving money on the table for their sellers and they're having their buyers turn over to those sellers what Robert Smith, actually a good guy, called fool's gold. Because in Q4 and Q1, there were not multiple offers. It was rare that you were having multiple offer situations, even in this hot market. All of a sudden, Q2 hits, and it's like, I'm like on the horn with my buyer's agents, like, people, like appraisal gap measures, info-only inspections, like, come in big now.
Right.
But, a buyer's agent who didn't know the market, who wasn't very seasoned or had high levels of expertise would be having their clients, and I received offers like this in Q4 and Q1, $15K over. Well, there's no one else even on the table.
Right.
Like, what are you doing? My sellers were thrilled. But so, I would tell buyers and sellers to make sure that you do your research. And you also, like, I fired clients. Like, you also have to be a good fit for each other.
Right.
And I have recused myself of situations where I'm like, look, like, with all the love in the universe, you're a great guy. You're not listening to what I'm saying.
Right.
I can't help you if you don't listen. And I don't really, I do get paid to do this, obviously, but it's not about me getting paid. But I'm also not going to play this game for 9 months for free, while I'm digging my resources into you. And while I'm not taking time away from serving other people.
Right.
So that's my advice for buyers and sellers.
Good stuff.
Now you're going to get into agents, aren't you?
That's right. So what do you got?
All agents or new agents? All agents.
Well, I guess newer agents. Let's talk about newer agents getting into the business.
Okay. I'm like, all agents?
Yeah, because
all agents, I got some good. I have some good ones. New agents, keep going. Fake it till you make it. Educate yourself. Don't let them see you sweat.
Yeah.
Don't let other co-op agents bully you. Generationally, the old guard, if you will, like, I have to be a bully to you to advocate and be a fiduciary to my client was sort of the way, well, at least what I've experienced.
Yeah.
And new age, like some of my closest colleagues and friends, understand that I can still be the fiduciary to my seller and you can still be the fiduciary to your buyer and we can co-op. And so we're all working towards the same goal, right? I have to stand my ground for my sellers and you have to stand your ground for your buyers. We can do it with respect and professionalism.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think mutual respect is what helps gain those relationships, not just with clients, but with other realtors too.
100%.
Like I'm sure you've seen paperwork come across your desk on the multiple offers where it's like everything's the same, but I know I'm going to work really well. We're going to work really well with this real estate agent because they're proven to be one of the better ones. I don't know.
That's what I have discovered now that I am operating a business at the level that I'm operating it. I would have never understood that a couple years ago, is that they know that we have set realistic expectations for our clients, that we run a professional operation, that we are, reasonable, responsive, and professional. And they want to do business, if it's the best terms, with us versus someone that they know is not going to be good to work with.
Right.
And so I have learned so much from my colleagues and I'm so grateful for that and have so much to still learn, of course, like never stop learning. Right.
That's great. Yeah. Well, I feel like it's easy for somebody like yourself who was in education to preach that as well. Like I think we've talked to so many people who were in education and nobody's at the level that you're at. And I refer back to your name because of that a lot. And we just had somebody else in here previously who was in education. I'm like, you have to meet Megan because she's done it the right way. And I feel like those traits from education have really impacted her real estate career in such a positive manner.
Thank you. If I could go to school full time, and someone would pay me for that, because I do like fashion. Like I said, I like to shop, so I would. I mean, learning is and teaching, and that's why I love the team, and that's why I know whether or not someone will be a good fit for our team or not. Because, if so there's many people in different markets that I've now met, right? And when everything I hear them say, I'm writing it down. I'm researching it. I am whatever, because I'm whoa, this is a huge learning opportunity. And when I hire someone on our team, if they don't see their partnership with our team as a huge learning opportunity, they're just not the right fit. If they come in well, this is how I do things, it's okay. So, I love to learn.
That's awesome. Well, Megan, thank you for being a part of this. And we are so honored to have you on.
Thank you.
You are obviously a leading lady and a leading team in the Cincinnati area. So thank you for everything that you do for the real estate community.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Cincinnati Real Producers Podcast, powered by Nextdoor Photos. We do this every week, so be sure to subscribe so you can follow along. If you liked our conversation, leave us a review. We'd love to hear your thoughts.